Good morning. This is me, David Antonelli, back for Inbetween Diary of a Film to give you tutorial number 6, where we're still talking about the budget. We're talking about how to make an independent film, and I'm going to take you through step by step and give you bits of my own experience on my own films, Finding Rudolph Steiner, the feature-length documentary, and also Inbetween that we're discussing more. But here we're talking about the budget, and in the last episode we mentioned that you need to have 2 budgets, a maximum and a minimum. And here we're going to talk about how much you're going to pay the actors. And again, there's going to have to be a maximum, and then there's going to have to be a minimum. So for the minimum, you're going to want to find out in your region what's the minimum wage that the union will pay an actor. And you'll want to pitch somewhere around that to pay your actors. And that's all positions, okay? Except for maybe the top 2 or 3 actors, in which case you're going to have to pay them a lot more to incentivize them. But the majority of actors, extras, everything like that, you're going to have to pay. I paid... this is more than 10 years ago, £100 a day to everyone, plus like £40 per day per diem that they could use to eat, you know, in restaurants or whatever. And that was more than enough at the time. And that was, you know, the wage. Now, in this case, when you're constructing the minimum budget, you're going to have to pitch it at that low level, but you might also have to incentivize it with something like royalties in your film, or shares in your film company, or shares in the film if you've incorporated your film and or film company, as I told you should in the 2nd episode, okay? And the thing about royalties is that most distributors will actually take away everything as costs, and you'll get very little money back, and so those royalties might be very small. And anyone who knows anything in the business will think, well, those royalties probably won't be worth very much. It's like recording artists don't get very much royalties for their own albums now. That's why they have to go on tour, not so much. But the shares can be worth a lot more, and they can help to incentivize, you know, a top-notch talent. Because if you once you start giving shares away in your film or your film company, it will incentivize a partnership. You know, so the actor will think, you know, this is something. This is like a long-term thing. This is you know, something that's going to make me a lot of money. I'm an actual partner in this venture, and it can help to make up for the fact that you have a smaller budget. Okay, so a lower budget, shares, royalties. In terms of royalties, you don't want to give up any more than 10% and spread it out amongst all the actors. Maybe the lead actor might get like 3%, and then the other actors, you know, less accordingly. In terms of shares, you don't want to give up more than 20% in total, and you might want to give up, you know, start with a minimum of 5% when you're negotiating. And remember, for the shares and royalties, just reserve it for the very top actors, and you because you're going to need an actor that has some experience. Who, if you look hard enough, I'm sure that you know someone, or you're a couple steps removed from an actor with some kind of reputation. As for me, I know a friend of a friend. There's Callum Keith Rennie, who was one of the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica, but also played in Californication next to David Duchovny. Okay, and so he was actually a friend of a friend, and I met him in many bars and things like that. You know, and he would be someone that if I were making a film now, I might consider approaching, just because he has a reputation and he can add value to the film. And I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find someone like that too. Okay, and then now for the maximum budget. You might want to offer, say, up to double the minimum wage to the actors. But the lead actor and then the top 3, you might be looking at several tens of thousands. If you find an actor that's out of work, or, you know, his career is on the skids, he might accept something, like $10,000. The minimum might be $10,000 plus shares in your film. The maximum, there's anything. You don't want to pitch it too high and say, I'm going to pay such and such an actor, $5 million when you're a first-time film director. It's just not going to work. But you can say, well, I'm prepared to pay this actor, $100,000 plus I'll give him, 5% shares in the film. And you can start negotiations there. So basically, there's got to be a lot of wiggle room, but you're going to be looking at several tens of thousands of dollars as a minimum to get that decent actor, if not more, plus shares and royalties. Okay, but if they like the script, their career is on the skids, and they have the time off, because actors sometimes they work incredibly hard for 6 weeks and then they have a whole time off where they don't do anything except for read scripts or promote other films. So if you catch them at the right time and they really connect with you and your script, you might be able to get them, okay? But just remember that everything costs something, okay? And if you want a quality film, you're going to have to pay the actors, and you're going to have to be prepared if you don't have enough money in your budget to give them shares and royalties. I promise, okay? So that, in a nutshell, is how much you're going to have to pay the actors. You're going to also, in this section, have to think about where you're going to do the casting. Most of this should be done, on Zoom, but you're going to have to meet the actors face to face. Or you could do it all at once. You could rent, a hotel, a conference room like I did at the Tribeca Grand, it was called. It's now called the Roxy, and also a hotel, the Knightsbridge Hotel in London, because I wanted to project this image, that this was a serious project. So doing the castings, over 2 days in New York and in London, I had a very beautiful hotel. Gave it the impression, this was a serious project. But you don't really have to spend that much money. You could also get a hotel that's kind of cool and kitschy, like a vintage Holiday Inn out in the suburbs. It could be the set for some kind of Quentin Tarantino drug heist scene. But it's got to be stylish, okay? You want to project style and class, with your film. So you're going to have to put that into the budget, and you're also going to have to put things like transportation for the actors to and from the set. So you're going to have to think of all of these things when constructing the budget, or your two budgets, the minimum budget and the maximum budget. Anyway, the Inbetween is available as a novel on Amazon or anywhere else, as a paperback or an ebook. And my new novel, my 12th, The Orphean, which is a very modernist piece of fiction like Franz Kafka or Peter Handke won the Nobel Prize in 2019, is also available now. It just came out in September. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope to see you again.